Better bomb, better. Better, 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 better bomb, better. Better, better, better bomb, better, better bomb, better.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 2 of the Panhandle Gearcast. I'm your host Jake, here with my co-host Jason, and today we have a special guest, T. Lance. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, T. Lance.
Hello, everybody. I am T. Lance. That is not Terminal. That is Tennessee Lance Corporal. I am a part of a group called Deterrence Dispensed, and we design, test, and release files to 3D print firearms.
Nice.
So,
what is it that you do, like with this group? You said 3D printing firearms, files, testing, etc.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Alright.
right now, what I'm working on is actually for Jason here. He's asked me to help him a little bit because he wants a Glock 26, but the issue with the Glock 26 for him is that his pinky isn't sitting on it, which is a common issue for a lot of people. So I'm just extending the grip on it a little bit to only accept 19 and larger mags. So we're going to have a Glock 26 that accepts 19 mags. I'm also working on a project for converting a Nerf gun into a 22 LR. That one's going to be fun. It's the Nerf nail biter, and it's the only real design that you can do with a Nerf gun because it doesn't require extraction or ejection. It works just like a harmonica gun.
so
ATF about to be raiding Walmarts everywhere.
coming to a store near you. So what would you say one of the biggest challenges of, say, converting something like that from a toy Nerf gun to shoot something like I'm not sure what caliber you're wanting it to be, but maybe like
22 long rifle.
22. What would you say one of the biggest challenges, design challenges, would be?
Well, patience is a really big one. It's not really all that difficult if you know what you're doing with the software. If you don't, then learning the software is a huge challenge. And if it wasn't for the fact that I learned how to use SolidWorks in high school, I wouldn't be doing this now.
Yeah, that's probably a big thing. They don't really teach that anymore, or at least not in depth as they used to.
I don't know what they're doing now in schools, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, true. What other questions did you have, Jason?
So, kind of getting into about like where you've used like this, the skill 3D printing, getting into the software, stuff like that. What have you done? Where have you applied this? Like recently, I know you're helping me work with the we like to call it the 26X project.
Yeah.
But what else have you done?
So, I'm not gonna lie. I did just print something today, and it's a little fun toy. I'm waiting for the parts kit to arrive, but I just printed the stippled Glock 19 frame, the DD 19.2 remix, and it is immaculate, like just so pretty to look at. It's just a great gun. I can't wait to shoot it and test it out and see just how well it fires. But I mean, there's DIY guns that I've done, like the FGC9 Mark II, which is about 80% 3D printed, and then the rest of the parts you make yourself. It is completely DIY. There are kits that you can buy, and I'm not going to lie to you. I did buy the kit from MAF just to make my life a little bit easier. But I mean, there's 126 something pages on the README in order to do it completely DIY. It was designed by a European to be built in the EU, so that tells
Jeez.
you something.
So, how, say, from start when the print starts all the way up to the time that you have to clean the project up and get it nice and finished to be able to assemble, how long do you think it would say to do all that?
I mean, it really depends on the gun. Like the FGC9 Mark II, you can probably get that built in, I would say, 2 weeks if you know what you're doing, even less than that. But I mean, something like a Glock, if you know what you're doing, if you already have the parts kit, you just print the frame, and then you just drill out the holes where the pins go, just to make sure they're nice and clean, and you just assemble.
Yeah,
I
and I'll
mean,
throw that picture. I'll throw that picture of that Glock frame that you 3D printed up on screen too, so the viewers can see it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, I'm assuming it's on screen now. You can see where there's a little bit of um, stringing and just supports left over. I've cleaned it up since that picture was taken, but that's how it looks straight off the print bed. Um, and the stippling work, it comes on the Glock already as soon as it's printed. So it's really nice. And I mean, there's no serial numbers. It's a total ghost gun. If that suits your fancy, and if not, well, it's cheaper than buying a regular frame or a P80 frame.
True.
Definitely. Like,
Definitely.
yeah, I remember when I was going for my 19, I was trying to essentially build it rather than just buying one straight off. And the frame was abhorrently expensive for what it was. But
What'd you pay on
yeah,
it?
what's that?
What'd you pay on it?
Oh, I ended up not buying it at all. I just
Oh,
went with the just a basic 19 Gen 4 MOS.
all right,
But
yeah. Yeah, no, the amount of plastic it takes to print this is probably like, I mean, less than $10 worth of plastic.
Damn.
Mhm.
Like you buy the spools of they're 1 kilogram spools, and they're $20 a pop. And this didn't even take half a spool. So,
Man.
You
um,
said $20 a pop.
yeah, per kilogram.
Nice. And what's the machine you're using, and what's the cost to kind of get into that? Maybe including the software.
So the great thing is what I use is the Creality Ender 3 V2. Um, last I checked, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up now just so I can give you an accurate today price. But when I bought it, it was about $200.
That's not too bad.
Um, right now, Creality Ender 3 V2 is going for $271.99. The regular Ender 3 by itself, the V2 is just the upgraded one. The regular Ender 3 is going for $179. So less than $200, you can get the 3D printer. As far as upgrades and everything goes that you're going to want to do to it, you can print stuff with it out of the box, of course, but you are going to want some upgrades to it. You can find all of those on theguide.controlpu.com. He has an entire 3D printing guide on how to um, get yourself set up for printing guns.
Interesting.
Oh,
So,
you-
oh, go ahead, Jason.
I was gonna say you had brought up, essentially this is, your ghost gun because you're printing the frame, you're printing your lower receiver, etc., etc. You're printing the firearm itself, and then everything else is essentially, what would you call it?
Kind
A
of the standard drop-in stuff.
Yeah, I mean, everything else can get shipped to your door.
Right.
Yeah,
You don't have to go through a background check. If you're a felon, you can get this stuff shipped to your door.
We wouldn't recommend that though. Don't do that.
Unless, I mean, okay.
Just for the viewers' sake, T Lance. Don't
we
do
can
that.
we can take that out of there then.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, for everyone that kind of that just wants to get something and maybe not have it so, I guess, out there. Maybe it's not private sales. You can kind of make your own stuff.
Right.
It's the way to go, I think.
Well, really, serial numbers are kind of garbage, anyways. And I'm not saying from like a you have to have a serial number standpoint. I'm saying like the fact that they just don't work. Um, they work if you buy the gun from a dealer and you hold on to that gun until you die, sure. But most guns trade hands at least 4 or 5 times in that firearm's lifetime.
Right.
And once it trades hands in a private sale one time, the law won't know where that firearm went. They're gonna
Yeah,
ask. They're gonna ask the guy who bought the gun from the gun store, "Hey, your gun that you bought and 17 years ago showed up in a crime. Do you know who you sold this gun to?" No, I don't keep records. I sold it to some dude on Gunbroker,
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
and so that's
Mm,
after that it's just it is what it is.
yeah.
so you brought up the files, right? I'm assuming there's a group that shares files, and what would be, I don't know if there is a cost, but if there was a cost of getting a file, either, I don't know if it's privately given to you or having to buy it, or it's just in the group, what would the cost
So
of that be?
so we at Deterrence Dispensed put all our files up for free on thegatalog.com. It's like the catalog, but it's with gats.
Hmm.
So it's TheGatalog.com. And it is where we upload. We have it really nicely organized. We have 3D printable suppressors, we have 3D printable receivers and frames, we have completely DIY designs, we have technical data packages up there for free. So if you want to decide, like, hey man, I want to design a 3D printable Mosin Nagant, right? I'm not sure if we actually have the Mosin's technical data package up there, but we do have like the M4 and other technical data packages up there. We've got stuff like the Yankee Boogle, which is a drop-in auto sear for you SOT guys and free men. And we also have, um, yeah, like I said, just like complete DIY guns like the FGC9, the FGC9 Mark II, the Professor Parabellum's square tube SMG. Um, yeah, I mean, we've got a few guys up there who do a whole lot of work for nothing, and there are donate links if you decide, hey, I want to support this guy, I want to give him some money, then you can donate to, let's say, Ivan the Troll, or, well, not Jay Stark anymore, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting, like like Jake and I have both started kind of working with an SOT, so we've been able to kind of see a little bit with like, oh, we get to like play with a machine gun, or just make silencers and that kind of thing. But it's fucking stupid, just plain and simple, that uh, jumping through some legal hoops or getting some kind of licensing is what allows you to have certain types of weapons. You know, I think it's I think it's just kind of a not unspoken but very a shared thought between all of us that all firearm laws are unconstitutional
Facts.
and that you should be able to own whatever you want because that is your right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what the 3D printing, I think, gets to us, to more people at least, and especially a more you know how would you call it, unsupervised manner, maybe no less of the eyeing from Big Brother kind of thing.
Worldwide, thanks to
Oh
the
yeah.
efforts of Jay Stark, um, gun control is dead. Gun control is dead, and Deterrence Dispense killed it.
Yes.
With the technology we have, you can 3D print molds to cast your own ammunition. You can 3D print the frames and receivers or complete firearms, right? You
Right.
Mm-hmm.
can you can 3D print anything you want, and even the pressure bearing components, such as the bolts and the barrels. You can make them in your garage, in your bathroom, in your living room if you want to. That's right. Rifled barrels produced at home for about 150 bucks, 200 bucks.
That's
Yeah,
not
I
bad.
do remember you telling me about that with like when you were building your FGC9 about doing the barrel rifling. What was it? Electro.
Electrochemical machining.
Yeah.
And it sounds complicated, really simple. So you get a bucket full of salt water, a water pump, and a desktop power supply. You take your workpiece, which is your hydraulic piece of tubing,
Mm-hmm.
and you take your cutting piece, which is just a steel rod, and you hook up wires to both of them, run salt water through it, and the process of electrolysis will eat away the metal on the inside in whatever pattern you want. So with the rifling, you can get progressive polygonal rifling. Uh, Let me back that up. Progressive polygonal rifling with just simple tools you can buy online, on Amazon, or just your local hardware store. AliExpress is a really good place to get stuff for cheap. Alibaba's Magical Express is a wonderful place.
Interesting.
See, one of the, I guess, one of the myths or like standing myths about 3D printed firearms, maybe not so much anymore, but I've heard it thrown around a bit that you could dispel is that 3D printed firearms they only work for like a few shots, or they're kind of like a one and done sort of situation. And
Well, maybe that used to be the case back during the DefCat days, and um,
with
when
like
Cody
Liberator kind of days.
when Cody Wilson released the Liberator, which was just an awful design, and he took credit for it when he didn't even do any of the work for it. Um, he had a team of engineers build it for him, and then he was just like the front man of it and claimed all the credit. But it was garbage. Um, yeah, I mean the barrel for that thing would only last 2 to 3 shots because it was a plastic barrel. But all the
Right.
pressure bearing components now, in our 3D printed guns with the design and technology that we've come out with, and just the large group that we've gathered together over the past couple of years has been insane. That we are continuously progressing further and further.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, every pressure bearing component now is made of metal. So the only parts, like for example, the 3D printed Glocks, the only part of that Glock that is 3D printed is what's already plastic on a Glock.
Mm-hmm.
The AR, it's usually just the lower, unless it's like a 22, then you have an upper. I mean, I'm not. Plastikov is the receiver, but it's also reinforced. The AR that we have that Ivan the Troll just released um, is the U bar, and it is a U bolt reinforced AR. So it is reinforced with bolts, metal pieces in there to make sure that it doesn't splinter or crack. As long as you follow the instructions, because we at Deterrence Dispensed document everything when we release it. We go through so much testing and make sure that everything is safe, effective, and can withstand thousands of rounds before breaking before we release it to the public. We want to make sure that when we release a design, the layman, the everyday Joe, can go download the file, read it, and be able to put it together themselves at home without asking anybody else any questions, because around the world this stuff isn't always legal and these people can't always go and ask people questions. So
Mhm.
we have to be able to release a product that is finalized.
Yeah, it's you brought up the legality portion, and we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but definitely in other countries where firearms are seen as not as openly as in the U.S., even though we're kind of headed down like that darker path of people trying to restrict freedoms and such. People can print these in Australia, in the UK, um, essentially anywhere where they can have the tools essentially.
I mean, you can get anything shipped anywhere in the world from China.
Yeah, China don't care too much about where it goes.
China doesn't care where it goes. And that's, I mean, as much as I really don't like China, this is the one thing I got to give to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well,
if
I
you
mean, they're
live
good at making stuff, and
if you live in a country like, let's say, Germany or the UK, and you have decided that you want to risk it all to own a firearm, that is your personal choice. I can't make that for you. No one can make that choice for you. Not the government, not your parents, not your wife. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have to decide, is this worth risking everything on? if it is, well, we have the tools for you.
Mhm.
We don't provide intent. We don't provide anything outside of the means. If you have the desire, we have the means.
Yeah, and it's being able to push an effective self defense tool to everyone who wants one.
Right.
So the my group, Deterrence Dispense, what we stand for, we only stand for two things,
Mhm.
and that is the right to bear arms for anyone around the world, the right to self-preservation, the right to self-defense, the right to fight tyranny. We believe that the right to bear arms is a fundamental human right, and that anyone around the world should have the ability to protect themselves. We also believe in freedom of speech. So, freedom of information and right to bear arms. That's the only two things we stand for. And if that's too politically extreme for you, well, Jay Stark said it best.
And what was that quote?
Oh, he said fuck yourself.
Short and to the point.
Pretty straightforward, huh?
Yeah.
What are the differences between a, say, straight from the manufacturer plastic lower compared to a 3D printed lower? What strength differences do you see in those?
So you have to understand first how a 3D printer works. So most OEM or manufactured polymer receivers and frames, they have a mold and they pour the plastic into the mold and then it cools and hardens into one solid piece of metal. It's like polymer casting in a sense. But the way that we do it, or that anyone with a 3D printer prints anything with a 3D printer, is you take your 3D sculpture, which is an STL file. It's your digital sculpture, and you feed that into a slicer. Most people use Cura, and what it does is it takes the height of your layers. So for my printer, I have a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and I printed a layer height of 0.16 millimeters, and it takes that 3D sculpture and cuts it into layers horizontally that are 0.16 millimeters in height. And so you get these stacks of 2D drawings, and it goes around with this hot glue gun that shoots plastic out of it into the shape of your 2D drawing. And then it goes up 0.16 millimeters and does another drawing on top of that one until it gets to the top. So you have layer on top of layer on top of layer on top of layer, and you end up with your 3D printed sculpture, but you have layer lines in it, and the strength along the layer lines isn't the best. So while casted polymer molded receivers and frames would be better, it's also a lot more expensive and not as readily available to people who can't get those.
I see.
Also, those come serialized. Unless of course it's like a polymer 80.
Of course.
Unless it's
Yeah.
a polymer 80.
And I mean, a manufacturer lower frame or receiver, I mean, you have a huge markup too. I mean, compared to, like you said, you can make what is it, a Glock frame you did. You probably did that on dollars compared to what it would cost to get, say, an OEM frame. I'm not going to mention any company names or anything, but an OEM frame that does almost the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, and what's great about it too is the, like I said before, the stippling, any design you want to put on there, you can do it in the actual file on the computer, so you don't mess up. If you want to put your own custom logo on there, you can do that on SolidWorks or on Autodesk Inventor or just any computer aided design software, right? You can put that on there yourself, and when you print it, it's on there. You won't have to worry about messing up the aesthetic of your frame first or anything like that. So these are completely customizable, as much as you would like to, or as little as you would like to. If you want it to be just a solid run of the mill standard gun that you're going to go gangbang with, just kidding, don't do that. Then you can print that out, and it'll be just a standard slick gun that you can't identify from any other gun. Or you can have your own little logo on it. So when you do your little shooting at the range and you're on camera, you can see your own little logo on the side of the gun.
Free
Everybody's like, "Oh my
sponsorship.
god, that's so cool!"
Yeah, it can definitely be fun as well.
Yeah, that's
Right.
why I like to do it, right? So for me, I would say about 50-50. And these are two really big reasons on why I like to 3D print guns. First of all, I'm a sucker for pain, and messing with a 3D printer invokes a lot of pain, and it's a lot of fun dealing with that pain. Um, there have been several times where I wanted to pick my printer up, rip it out of the wall, and slam it into another wall. However, at the end of the day, when you get your print to print just right, and you build that gun yourself, and you look at it and you're like, this is my child. I made this. This is my baby, and I'm going to take care of it.
It's the satisfaction
Of course.
of the build.
Absolutely. So you have not only that, but you also have the the more important reason in my eyes is no one can control you. You build this yourself. You are completely independent. You decide, I want a gun. I'm going to have a gun. I'm not going to ask for permission from Uncle Sam to build this gun. It's just going to happen. I decide
Exactly.
my own fate.
It goes down to like having your own freedom and having your own self-sufficiency to make the tools that you want, do what you want. It's all in the name of freedom, really.
Yeah, I'm a grown man. I can do what I want. I'm grown.
I'm grown. So we talked about 3D printed receivers and uppers and just complete builds. So in the aspect of accessories, what's the wide variety of accessories you can 3D print as well?
Okay, so we have we have several different accessories. So we have a couple AR-15 foregrip packs. We have a 3D printed AR-15 fire control group. We've got magazine loaders and speed loaders and unloaders, whatever you want. We've got Control Q made a 3D printable brace called the shoulder thing that goes up. We've got a couple mods for the Heritage Rough Rider made by Vin, where you can put a pick rail on your Heritage Rough Rider 22 LR. We've got stocks that you can put on there if you got the 16-inch barrel one. We've got Chris Vector foregrips that you can 3D print, 80% milling jigs. We've got Swift links. We've got a holster for the M&P shield. We've got brass catchers. We've got all sorts of stuff.
Interesting. So,
And I mean, if you go to other websites too, so not just with us, but if you go to Colts 3D, Colts3D.com, they have creators where they have the ability to sell their files and profit off of it a little bit. That's not necessarily our kind of style, right? We want to spread the signal as much as we can to as many people as we can. We don't really care about the profits. So for us, it's a little bit different. But I mean, some people who work independently of us may go to Colts and say, "Hey, man, I've designed this AR-15 pistol grip, right? And I want to sell it for 30 cents per download." And people can do that. And I fully support them in doing that. So we've got that. We've also got guides as well. So, like I said before about how to make your own ammo with casting, lead casting. We've got stuff on making ammo from deactivated ammo in Europe. We've got stuff on barrel making. Yeah, I mean, we've got all sorts of stuff. I brought up suppressors earlier, so we've got the Shush Puppy, which is like my favorite thing. And yeah, it's a 3D printed 9mm suppressor, and it's like 4 inches thick. It is fat, buddy. By the way, if you have any experience with CAD, if you want to design Shush Puppy height suppressor sights for a Glock, you can do that, and you can get some money from Control Q's website. It's going to be in the form of Bitcoin, but it's pretty good stuff. So let me go to the bounty here on the website and look at the Shush Puppy height sights.
So you can make stuff for these bounties to just kind of make a little bit of money.
Yeah, so the
But
shush puppy height sites right now, if you were to do a quick like 1 hour CAD design of doing those plastic suppressor height sites, you can get $67 based off of what Bitcoin is as we speak.
Dang.
Now we've also got, if you have the aptitude and the skill, we are looking for, well, Jay Stark was looking for it before he died. A bounty for a completely DIY 9x19 compact semi-auto handgun, and he wanted it to be about the size of a Glock 19. So if you want to do it with the ECM barrel and you want to be able to go to controlq.com and look at the bounties and read all of the conditions yourself to get the win on the bounty, you can get up to, let's see, there's 4 contributors. You will earn yourself $2,500.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
a pretty penny
that's-
right there.
Yep.
Very.
So,
that's
I mean,
a
there's-
that's a
very
good
shiny.
tack rifle.
Yeah, you can buy yourself a Kalash, a really good Kalash with that money.
Yeah.
Or a knight's armament.
Yeah.
Or a Kalash, like I said.
Or an AK. I mean. So, what would you say I think we talked about it a few days ago. What would you say the downfall of like the metal 3D printers or the carbon fiber 3D printers are?
So people always talk about carbon fiber. They don't realize that it's not really good with shock strength. You have to understand there's multiple types of forces. Carbon fiber is good for sustained force, like gravity, right? You can build a bridge
Right.
out of carbon fiber and it does really well. But with quick impulses of force, carbon fiber does not handle that really well.
It's easier
And-
to shatter, right?
Yes. Metal 3D printers, the issue with them is, once again, because of how 3D printing works is in layers, the metal cools off really quickly. And because of how the metal properties are, it doesn't want to bond to itself very well. And so it becomes brittle itself. It'll want to break along the layer lines.
Interesting.
So plastic is honestly the best thing right now until the 3D printing technology advances. But once it gets there, we won't be far behind. I can tell you that.
No, yeah, I think it's going to be coming up pretty quick. I mean, most people still do the 3-axis CNC machines. I mean, large manufacturers, right? Do the 3-axis or even 5-axis CNC machines, but I mean that just hikes up the cost of whatever product they're selling. So
Yeah, I mean, so I like machining. I like the CNC machines. I mean, 3D printer, all it is a CNC machine. It's just a CNC hot glue gun.
pretty much.
It uses G code, the same as a CNC machine does, and it builds a 3D model out of something. So it's just, instead of removing material, it adds material.
Right.
And so really, if you have a CNC machine, there's a lot better stuff you can do. Like you can make 0% lowers, which are awesome. But I mean, or you can build an FGC9 out of metal, and that thing will weigh like 26 pounds, but you can do it.
Yeah. I can't remember the exact company, but it went with 0% lowers. It was probably a few $1,000s. I haven't really heard of them recently. I don't know what happened, but
I think about the Ghost Gunner.
Yes. What did you say it was?
The Ghost Gunner?
Ghost Gunner. Yeah, where you could just drop in a 0% and it'll mill it for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except you'd be giving Cody Wilson money.
Yeah.
And Cody Wilson was literally charged with pedophilia.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I didn't hear about that, so.
He slept with a
thanks for letting me
15-year-old.
know. Oh my god.
And
Okay, never
yeah.
mind. Do not buy that product.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a cool product, and we're seeing desktop CNC machines come to. Actually, you might want to remove everything I just said there. I don't want to get sued for defamation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll remove that.
Because they ended up settling in court.
That was on 30.
Or settling outside of court, I should say.
That was
Mhm.
on like 37 minutes, so I'll look back at that.
All right. Yeah, just remove that whole thing. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing desktop CNC machines come to a reality for cheaper and cheaper every day. Just like how 3D printers used to be like a $20,000 deal, now they're only $200. I'm sure we'll see CNC machines get that way here soon as well. The maker community in general is growing. People realize that you're wasting a lot of money by buying door handles that you can print at your house. If your screen door has a handle on it that breaks, you can just print you a new one. My bowl, that my food bowl for my cats, is a 3D printed gravity feeder. Right, like there's
Interesting.
all sorts of stuff you can do outside of guns with 3D printing that's just so amazing,
Oh,
and
definitely.
it's a much better alternative to um, wasting a bunch of money when you don't need to, especially with shipping.
Yeah. And I
If
mean,
I
there.
remember right,
Go ahead.
there was a I want to say there was a story about how they were on the space station or something. They forgot a tool somehow, but the 3D printer on board, they could just have the file there to print the tool that they needed.
Yeah, because it's easier to send a signal up to the space station than it is to actually send a part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So might as well just send this file up there and then print it yourself.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
there might be better areas that a, say, carbon fiber or metal 3D printer would do other than firearms, right? It's not that it's junk or anything, but it just it doesn't work well for
not for the application.
not for the application,
Yeah,
correct?
I mean it's a great material that can be used in all sorts of stuff, just not really good with firearms.
Yeah. But it's insane the variety of stuff that you can do with a 3D printer other than firearms. It's weird.
Yeah, you have the world at your fingertips, and that's what I love the most about it. If there's anything you can think of, you can design it or find a file of it online and print it, and you're just good to go. Like, um, I don't know, for example, a knuckle duster, right? I designed and 3D printed a knuckle duster for my sister's boyfriend because he wanted one and wanted to see how the 3D printer worked. So I ran him through the whole process and printed him off a little knuckle duster for him.
That's wild.
Hmm.
Well, you can kind of just use it for just about anything. Gravity feeder, knuckle duster, uh, wrench in space.
I mean, my fiance, I mean, I just printed off a little flexible snake thingy for her because she thought it looked cute. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's just anything and everything. Like you said, it's at your fingertips. If you find a file for it, do it.
oh, and what's really great too about 3D printing is you can 3D print upgrades to your 3D printer. There's,
Wait.
there's,
That reminds me of a story. A guy bought a 3D printer, 3D printed a 3D printer parts off of it, and then returned the 3D printer. I don't know if you heard that or not, but I thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, yeah, you can pretty much 3D print everything on there except for the central, like the motherboard and the LCD screen and the stepper motors. But outside
Yeah,
of that, you can pretty much 3D print everything else.
That's wild.
like the computer hardware essentially is your
Yeah,
limiting.
yeah, that's it. But your
Oh
entire like
man.
scaffolding that it sits on, yeah, you can 3D print all that. So it's pretty wild how much you can actually do, and it's just such a wonderful time to be alive.
Oh yeah. I don't know how well it would work, but 3D printed holsters. I was looking over at my holster, and I noticed they use Kydex and a vacuform molding to get that fitment. But how difficult would it be to 3D print a holster?
I mean, I would think that. I mean, we only have that one MMP Shield holster up right now, but if you want to make one, I'm sure it wouldn't be that difficult. I know we've got a couple guys working on holsters here and there. Most of the time, they don't end up running into the testing. They just make it for themselves, and they're like, "Hey guys, look at what I made." But because everything that we do goes through a rigorous testing process, most people don't want to have to go through that stuff for a holster.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, I mean that M&P Shield holster. I mean, I've heard people use it and they like it. Um, as far as retention goes, I mean, you just use screws. It's not like the Safari Land holsters where you got like the whole button and everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is something we were talking about earlier about the ALS holsters and how T Lance absolutely despises the button, the little ALS button.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Uh,
And like I said to you earlier, Jason, it's completely shooter's preference, really.
Yeah, like in
But me personally, I would rather risk um, risk a little bit of retention there and much have that faster draw speed. And I guess if you train with it consistently, you can get about the same draw speed. It's whatever, right? But I
yeah.
just know that me personally, I like to be able to just lift my shirt up, grab and go.
well, I mean, it wouldn't be lift your shirt up because these are outside the
Yeah,
waist.
these are outside the waistband. I get that, but I'm just saying that's how I like my holster, anyways. Is I appendix carry. I don't like open carrying. Even when I'm in full gear, I appendix carry, and um, I have no problem reaching my gun. I know a lot of people have issues with their plate carrier getting in the way if they're trying to draw their gun out of their waistband. I don't have that issue.
That's an interesting way to run it. Don't really see too many people going conceal carry for a pistol when they're kind of
I mean,
already
it's not
overt.
concealed, right? Like if I'm overt, like I have my shirt tucked in and I just have it outside of it, but it's still appendix because that's my muscle memory. That's what I've trained with, and that's what I like to stick to.
I got you.
Yeah. I mean that. However it works for you. I mean, I also appendix carry, and I try to do it as much as possible. But I mean, I work around a lot where I have to bend over and pick up stuff that's 50 pounds plus. So it gets uncomfortable, but I'm trying to work through it.
Tell you, man, not about the bending; it's about the crouching.
Oh, so before we close out of here, I don't know how much time left we have on the podcast, how long we're running this thing, but I do want to make sure to give some shout outs to people if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So I want you guys to, if you're the viewer here and you're interested in 3D printing guns or just learning more about 3D printed guns, make sure you visit Control Pew on YouTube. That's CTRL, like the computer key, PEW, like Control P, right, to print, but it's Pew because guns, printing guns. Get it? Haha. um, his Instagram is Common Sense Control Pew, and his website is controlpew.com. So he's got some cool merch on there that you can buy. He's got the guide if you really need to learn more, and you're a newbie to this kind of stuff. And yeah, so Control Pew is a really cool guy to learn a lot from, and it's been a great experience learning so much from him. Um, Another person to check out would be the owner of MAF Arms. That would be Matthew Larosiere. His YouTube channel is Fudbusters. He is our gun rights lawyer and SOT. And we also have Print Shoot Repeat, who's not affiliated with the group. He's kind of his own thing. He works with another group, which I personally don't like. We're not going to try to give him publicity here, but you can understand. And when a group doesn't go through the proper testing, they don't care about the actual benefit to the people. They just want to make something that looks cool. And I'm not saying that's not a good thing. Sure, make things that look cool, do it all you want, but you have to understand when it doesn't function correctly and it turns people away, how that hurts the movement as a whole.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
so, I mean, I don't have a very good liking to them. It's it's everybody's own personal opinion when it comes to the other group at our group, but it is what it is. So Print Shoot Repeat is a cool guy. He 3D prints guns, makes videos on his YouTube. He's been a pleasure to talk to. Um, Really down to earth, cool guy, and he makes his own music for his channel. He does his own video editing. He prints his own guns. He does his own shooting, and he does his own repeating. So he is truly the print, shoot, and repeat. We've also got Ivan the Troll, who has his own YouTube channel, and it's Ivan Prince Guns. He's the guy who designed the Plastikov, the 3D printed AK receiver. He's also done the Browning high power frames. He helped Freeman Don't Ask with the revisions needed to be done for the Freeman Don't Ask Glock 17, 19, and 26 Gen 2s, which they're Gen 3s and 5s, but it's our second generation of the, you know, the files. So we call them Gen 2, but they're actually Gen 3 and 5. We have both files in there. Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. He made the 3011, that cursed 1911 that is just so glorious.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a 1911 that uses an AR-15 fire control group. It is just amazing. So there's him. He helped Matthew LaRosiere, the guy I brought up earlier, Fudbusters, who owns that wind chime company, MAF Arms, and yeah, he helped him to design the SetMe Model C 3D printed 308 receiver, which was just an awesome thing to see come to fruition. And yeah, I mean, there's tons more that Ivan's been doing, and I'm excited to see what happens. He's also a really pleasurable guy to talk to and learn from. So yeah, but everybody that I've mentioned so far has helped me out quite a bit, and they're really worth checking out. Our lead propagandist, Johnny Boy, that is JNYBOY. He is an awesome dude. He's taught me everything I know about Photoshop, and he's helped me to create, and I'm sure you'll put them up on screen, these propaganda pieces that I've made, and I'm still making more, so this won't be the end of it. But yeah, so those are just a few of the guys I'd like to have the viewers check out if they decide this is something that they want to get into, or just see what all the fuss is about.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. It's interesting. I'd like to do it honestly. just from talking to you about it. I mean, it seems fun. It seems really fun. It sounds tedious, but it seems really fun.
Yeah, the most tedious part is learning how the printer works, because
Right.
you won't realize what you fucked up on until you're like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot. It should have been obvious the whole time. But I've sat here for 3 days trying to figure out what the fuck's wrong with my printer and why it keeps clogging. Maybe I should have checked the temperature.
Uh, why?
Maybe I should have read the guide and followed what he said about swapping over to the micro Swiss hot end. But no, I didn't want to listen to Control P. I wanted to use the stock hot end, and until my Bowden tube melted inside of it and clogged it, and I couldn't print anything. And so I had to buy the upgrade that I was told to buy from the start. That would have saved me a whole lot of pain.
The more you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a progression like everything else. You know, you start off and you're like kind of cocky, and then you learn a little bit, and then you learn how much you don't know, and then
Yeah, I mean, there's like I forget the name of it. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. But there's an actual graph that tells you how stupid you are and how cocky you are.
I'll put that in as a link too if you want me to. So most of these
Just
links.
pull it up. It's called
Yeah.
it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. So you have, as you'll see on screen, the peak of Mount Stupid, where you know nothing and you think you know everything just because you've learned a little bit, and then you are
yes,
quickly humbled into the valley of despair. So I'm gonna go ahead and send you this picture, and then you can put it in the video. But just so you can see what we're talking about here.
Okay. Let me see.
Oh, I sent it in podcast topics. Sorry.
It's fine. Let me see. I'll
But
throw
yeah.
it up while we're doing it real quick. But okay, I have
Yeah.
it pulled up here.
So yeah, you see the peak of Mount Stupid, which is right where it says know nothing, but your confidence is all the way up, and then you are quickly humbled down into the valley of despair, and then over time you become enlightened over that slope, and then you have the plateau of sustainability, and that's when you realize you're an expert. You know what you're talking about. Now, that doesn't mean that you have bragging rights, right? Because if you there's a difference between knowing what you're talking about and being an asshole. You have to find that kind of balance. I get it. Talking to idiots sucks. It doesn't feel good. But the only way to not have them be an idiot is to let them learn, and you have to be patient with idiots.
Yeah, because at the same time, or like at one time, you were that idiot.
Yeah, and you helped me out through that peak of Mount Stupid.
See, it's like it's a cycle, or
Yeah, like pass it forward kind of thing.
exactly, which is actually really nice within the community for whatever you're going to be doing. But
Yeah.
Also, but you also have to keep in mind there's a difference between being an asshole and tough love as well.
that's
Right.
really a fine line to walk.
Yeah, well, when somebody tells you figure it the fuck out,
Mhm.
generally they're doing that for your own good. Right? Because what's more beneficial to you? Relying on somebody or becoming self-sufficient and independent and learning how to find stuff out on your own? Because it's going to get to the point where you're going to know just as much as that next guy. And you're going to say, hey, what do I do about this? And they're going to say, I don't know. And then you don't know what to do at that point.
Yeah.
So how are you going to surpass them?
Yeah, we certainly heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, me and you both. Fitfo, baby.
Oh man.
Oh, Lord.
Good times back then.
Oh, Marine Corps. How I'm going to miss you and how much I'm going to be glad that I'm away from you.
It's a circus. You miss the clowns, you're not gonna miss the circus.
I don't know, man. What is a circus without clowns? It's definitely not a circus.
Good point. Just a big old tent.
Yeah.
All right. I think we hit our hour.
Yeah, we're about an hour and 2 minutes over by now. So, any closing thoughts or questions?
I mean, I take it you guys are probably gonna have me back on again, right?
Oh yeah, we'll have you
Okay.
back on.
Yeah, next time I'd like to talk about some not 3D printed stuff. I mean, I
Subguns.
love talking about this stuff, but I mean, if we want to talk about subguns, because I know Jason hates it,
Yeah, I was gonna
So we
say,
can-
don't you dare bring that subject up,
but we can talk about subguns or how much I hate PDWs,
or how much I hate
Um,
OLED.
Pros and cons.
or how much we all hate Olight,
Yes.
Well, that's just because we value our fingers and our lives.
and in my head. You know, if I put a flashlight
Yeah.
in my mouth, I don't want it to explode when I'm working on my car.
Yeah.
Oopsies.
Those will be interesting photos to put up.
Oopsies.
But if that's it, I'll go ahead and close this out.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
Alrighty. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. If I haven't said it already, which I know I haven't, go ahead and like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out those links that T Lance has brought up. It's a awesome community, and we're here for it. Anything else, Jason?
No, I think that's it for me. I'd like to thank T Lance for coming out.
Oh yeah.
Helping us out with the 3D printing topic. You know, I know it's something that's near and dear to him, and he's been ecstatic about it ever since he's really. I don't know. I think ever since I met him and we started talking and getting into firearms and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, I didn't even know about it all that much until after we went our separate ways. And it was almost as soon as I got home, I saw this compilation of guys shooting DIY guns and Jay Stark saying "fuck this dystopia," and from that point, I fell in love with the entire idea and the concept, and it's just been such a great experience exploring it and learning so much.
Oh yeah. There's something to be said about the whole movement, giving people that that ability to become more than harmless, but the opportunity to become peaceful.
Yep.
But huge thanks to T Lance for coming out here and sticking around for an hour of his time, and Jason over here, and hi. But if y'all haven't, like I said earlier, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we will catch y'all later.
Better bomb, better. Fed up, 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 fed up.